Hey everyone, Assalamu alaikum. I wanted to do a video to help with compulsive behaviors or behaviors that might be labeled as sort of addictive behaviors. And I'm going to cover a few different topics in this video. One is going to be on sexual desire, and related to that are things like being addicted to porn. I'm also going to talk about compulsive behaviors when it comes to kind of having this addictive tendency towards being on social media, using social media. I've noticed it's something that affects me a lot, being someone who creates content on social media. I've noticed that it brings out certain addictive traits or compulsive traits within me. And I also wanted to talk about compulsive spending and a lack of proper money management. And a lot of these are things that I've struggled with in my life, such as the money management. I struggled with that for a long time, and sometimes I still do struggle with. The fact that I have a business doesn't mean that I was very good at managing the wealth that would come in from my business. And only recently, in the past couple of months, I've created a kind of like system to help me with that. But I've been someone who struggled for a long time in my life with compulsive behaviors. I struggled with an eating disorder for a long time. Alhamdulillah, I no longer struggle with the eating disorder, but I do still have within me certain tendencies towards relying on food as a source of comfort, or relying on food to manage certain emotions within me. And so I'll kind of touch on that as well in today's video. I'm going to try and keep the video as short as possible, but because I'm talking about several topics, it might be longer than I expect, but let's go for it. The first one I want to talk about is managing desires, and related to that, porn addiction, things like that. It could be that you're single and you notice within you have a lot of sexual desire and you don't know how to manage that. It could be that you're single or married and you're struggling with an addiction to porn. So let's talk about two practical things that can help with that. And some of what I share in this video is from an Islamic lens. Okay, so I was reading this book, which I highly recommend if you're able to get it. It's called Inner Dimensions of the Prayer. And there is just a couple of sentences that I'm going to read that will help with managing lust, managing sexual desire, trying to overcome a porn addiction. So as you know, this book's about prayer. And so I'm just going to read a couple of sentences that will help, inshallah. Even as Allah tested his servants by creating them with innate lusts and desires, which in Arabic is known as shahwa. So even though Allah created us with these innate lusts and desires, and we are exposed to external temptations, Allah's mercy and kindness mandated that He gives us, His servants, a feast. And this feast is salah, prayer. And the feast, salah, is comprised of several kinds of delicacies, nourishments, gifts and grants, so that we can repel those desires and temptations. So the reflection here is, let's look at the quality of our salah. Are we praying or not? If we are praying, what is the quality of our prayer? Because if we're struggling with desires and temptations, it might be that improving either the quantity, increasing the quantity if you're not praying, or improving the quality, or improving the quality of our prayer can help us with managing the desires and temptations that we go through, and can help us with overcoming things like porn addiction. Now, another thing I want to mention is, so that's a practical thing, is focusing on salah to help us with desires. I'm not saying this is a cure. I'm just saying this is one practical thing to try and implement in your life, either praying if you're not praying already, or improving the quality of your prayer to help you with managing desires that you go through. Related to this is seeking forgiveness. Because istighfar, which is seeking forgiveness from God, is a means to help us with managing desires in our life that are not in alignment with Allah's way for our life. So regular istighfar, and istighfar opens up so much in our lives. Like, if we're not doing istighfar on the daily, we are literally missing out on so much abundance in our life in so many ways. Like Allah opens up amazing things, and I've noticed that personally in my own life. So regularly just saying, even in your head or however you can, just regularly saying astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, or a variation of that. Okay, so that is talking about desire and porn addiction. I'm going to move on to compulsive addiction to social media. This is just a practical thing that I started implementing that I wanted to share with you. As I mentioned, I create content on social media, and I noticed myself over the past, I'm going to say like at least a year, I feel like it's been a year, where I constantly check my social media, and it became this compulsive behavior that I didn't like within myself. And that is simply because it's so easy to click on the app, to click on Instagram or to click on TikTok. And so something that really helped me that I started doing recently is and this is because I have someone in my life that I trust, who is my husband. I decided to get my husband to change my password and even change the email address so that I can't just press forgot password. My husband changed the password to something only he knows, which yes, some people might think, oh, whoa, that's risky, you're trusting your husband too much. If I don't trust my husband, who else am I going to trust? Anyways, he changed the password to only something he knows. And so now I still like going on social media because I know it can be so beneficial for many people. But I just don't want to be going on it all the time, constantly checking it. So he's changed the password to something only he knows. And so whenever I want to go on social media, he logs in for me. I check what I want to check. I post content that I want to post, interact with my community, reply to messages because I get quite a lot of messages, that sort of thing. And I do it within a certain amount of time, and then I log off. And because I've logged off and I don't know the password, I can't just log back in. So that little bit of a barrier, having some kind of resistance to social media, is helpful if you've noticed yourself kind of going on all the time. Some people just can delete the app and that works for them. For me, it didn't work. I deleted the app, but then I just download it again. So if you have someone in your life that you trust, do that. If not, if you have a second phone, some people have second phones, you could have your social media on a separate phone than your regular personal phone. That's just an example. And I'm only sharing that. It might not work for you. I'm just sharing that because it's something that worked for me. And it might work for you, especially if you are someone who creates content as well. If you have someone in your life that you trust, that can change the password for you. Okay, final thing I want to talk about is compulsive spending and managing money. And I guess you can put in that bracket kind of like emotional eating, but actually it might not work. So just scratch what I just said right now. I had a random thought. Okay, compulsive spending and money management. Okay, I have a business, and so I get money, like, it's not like I get a set paycheck every single month. It's a bit different for me, but it will still work for you. What I'm going to share will still work for you if you even get a regular like paycheck every month. For me, I could get money like every day in my business. I could get it every week. I could get it every few days. So it's kind of sporadic when income comes in through the business. And so sometimes in the past, I used to just kind of look at the amount I had in my account and then decide whether I could afford something or not based on the money in my account. And that wasn't a very good strategy. So now what I do is anytime money comes in, even if it's a small amount of business money, anytime money comes in, I have this little spreadsheet where I put the amount in that spreadsheet, and I've created like percentages of like how much I need to send to save for tax, how much I need to keep for expenses, how much it goes to my personal expenses, so rent and groceries and things that I pay for, like my gym membership or anything. Just like having it broken down into percentages and then sending it to different accounts. And I also have like a separate savings because I want to save for a holiday, things like that. It just makes it so much better to manage your money that way. And some people might think that's so obvious, Amira, aren't you an adult? You should know that already. I didn't know that for a long time. I wasn't managing money for a long time. I started implementing this system over the past few months and it's working really well. And so I just wanted to share that with you. So yeah, I want to just talk a tiny bit about emotional eating because it's something I struggled with for a long time. And the number one thing that worked for me is routine. So going to the gym regularly, making lots of dua to Allah, such as, Ya Allah, please help me with overcoming this emotional eating. That really, really worked, and believing that I could. I know this was quite a long video. I hope you found it helpful, inshallah. Leave some comments if you did find it helpful, and please share if you found it helpful. Thank you.